after receiving empowerments, I did them such as I could for a while, and then I fell away from the practice. Do I need to receive another empowerment before I go back to the original practice?
Well, there are, you see, like in the Vajrayana tradition, there are many kinds of traditions. And some traditions require that you do not cross 24 hours, you know. And if you cross 24 hours, you need an empowerment. Some traditions, even after you receive the empowerment, there is no commitment. So even if you left it, you can always pick it up later on. So can you tell me which tradition?
The Sakya tradition.
Sakya.
Yes.
Oh, the Sakya tradition is the strict tradition. That's my tradition. Yeah. So if you like, you took 2 days or 3 days?
This was 20 years ago. I think 2 days.
2 days. Now, you see, like if you take 3 days, then the third day is broken if you cross 24 hours. But the 2 days still remain. It remains for 6 days. If you cross 6 days, then you've broken it. Then you need to get empowerment again.
Okay, I'm due.
But you need, as I said, you need not only the empowerment, because empowerment is not some kind of a magic that will work on its own. You know, you need the instructions related to the practice and the nature of mind and all those different things related to it. You know, and then use those instructions.
Ask him one day. Well, if one day, if you got an empowerment with 1 day.
Oh, that's a different thing. That's called a jena in Tibetan. And that's not a full empowerment. So such practices do not really have commitments like you break it if you don't practice it. You can always use the mantra and so on. But usually you do not get a detailed instruction from a 1 day empowerment. Yeah.
And if Lama Migmar told me that this is good for me, and he knew me,
yeah,
that pretty much means that it's okay. I
Yeah.
didn't do anything terribly wrong by lapsing and then starting
No,
again.
you haven't sinned.
Thank you.
If you use it, you transform yourself. If you don't use it, nothing happens. That's why.
Hello, thank you. I'd like your opinion about spiritual experiences. Do you believe that they are glimpses into higher levels of consciousness?
I didn't quite hear you.
Spiritual experiences?
Spiritual experiences.
Do you believe that they are glimpses into higher levels of consciousness?
Well, that's a very vague word, spiritual experiences. You know, there are billions of kinds of experiences that can be categorized as spiritual experience. So it depends whether you're going into higher consciousness. It depends on what kind of spiritual experience you're having. For example, if you're having the experience of emptiness, you know, the correct emptiness, I mean, not just a kind of empty feeling or, you know, like the mind is empty kind of thing, then definitely you're going into higher spiritual experiences. You know. But there are many, when you meditate, the mind begins to experience all sorts of experiences. You know. And in the Zen tradition, you know, in the Japanese word, there's a Japanese word called makyo, means illusion. And usually, yeah, I mean, you find like your mind encompasses the whole world, the whole universe, and you feel great, blissful, and so on. And in the Zen tradition, they are all called makyo, you know, just illusion. And so that's why I asked you. I mean, by spiritual experience doesn't mean anything. And you have to define it exactly. What do you mean by spiritual experience?
Mm-hmm. So, how about a non-dual experience?
Okay.
Or is that not any different?
Okay, non-dual. This is a very good point. You see, again, that's a very vague word. You know, what do you mean by non-dual? There are many kinds of non-dual experiences. You know, There is, for example, the Vedantic non-dual experience, where everything is just this awareness, and there's nothing else. That within Buddhism itself, there are many kinds of non-dual experience. Experiencing the unity of luminosity and emptiness is called a non-dual experience. Experiencing, see, like our thoughts are dual, exist, don't exist. When the thought is free of, like when you look at this table, you see it either as existing or you see it as non-existing, right? This is dual. When you experience the table directly without existing or non-existing, that's non-dual. That's another kind of non-dual experience, So there are many kinds of non-dual experience. And there is just awareness by itself, nothing else. That's a non-dual. This is more the Vedantic, that the Chandogya Upanishad, the Hindu Chandogya Upanishad says, Ditiyam Nasti, there is no second, there is just this only. That's another kind of non-dual experience. In the Buddhist Vajrayana tradition, that is the lowest kind of non-dual experience. Then there are higher levels of non-dual experience, and the highest non-dual experience is the unity of luminosity and emptiness.
So if you have one of those, do you take that as a particular validation that you're progressing?
You are what?
Do you take that experience?
Yeah, I know. Validation of what?
Progressing.
Progress. Yeah, definitely. If you really have had the experience of luminosity and emptiness as unity of luminosity and emptiness, then you take it as a validation of deepening your experience. Yes. You see, like when you come to these kind of experiences, then words begin to fail. You need to understand that. I just said experience. The ultimate experience is no experience. And there's no experience, so that's not an experience. The ultimate meditation is non-meditation. There's no meditation anymore. Because why? Because as long as I'm meditating, there is a meditator, right? And meditator means the self. And when the self drops, then there's no meditation anymore, right? And that's the non-meditation, abhavana. And that is the ultimate meditation. Then the only true meditation is non-meditation. All other meditations are attempts to meditate. Attempts to meditate. So these, you have to be very careful with words when you come to these kind of levels. Because they can be misleading.
Thank you. So I'm thinking about emotional defilements and the Buddha, and no longer having the emotional defilements that go along with being human.
Yeah.
And this might just be an issue of translation. I'm aware for myself that there are certain emotions that I would very much resist giving up. And I'm wondering, and I'm also aware that the Buddha is seen as very compassionate.
Well, I mean, you see, your question is, we can look at it from two angles. When we say a Buddha is free from emotional defilement, it doesn't mean that he can never get angry when he needs to get angry. He can never feel love or compassion when he needs to feel compassion and love. But you see, like you and I are controlled by these emotions. The Buddha is not controlled by these emotions. He is free of them. And he can use them for the benefit of others. Like Marpa, the teacher of Milarepa, was I'm sure all of you have read the life of Milarepa. He seems to be a very angry man, completely beating and threatening Milarepa constantly. But he was using that as a skillful means to awaken Milarepa, to free him from his karmic residue. Right? So it's an enlightened being does not mean becoming like brick walls, no emotions, dead. Like that might as well bow down to pillars. Pillars. But you and I are used by our emotions. We have no control of them. Right? And a Buddha is free from them, and he can use them. And there's, like in the Vidyadhara Tantra, it says the 9 aesthetic, the Sanskrit word is 9 rasa. Rasa means aesthetic
taste.
Huh? Tastes. Aesthetic tastes, like anger, compassion, sexual desire, sexual more eros, eros, and other 9. Those are the 9 aesthetic tastes in Sanskrit literature. And a skilled master is someone that can dance in these 9 rasas continuously. But we don't dance in them. We are like drowned in them. Like so a good surfer surfs on the waves, but if you're not a good surfer, you go into the wave. So there's a difference there. When you say the Buddha is free from them, it doesn't mean that he has no capacity, he's like a dead pillar, and no emotions, no feelings, nothing anymore. But that's not enlightenment, that's a neurotic state.
Just to follow up on that, what is the process of becoming free of the emotional violence? In other words, is it just through meditation, or is it through some engagement process? Or through some engagement process. In other words, is there a particular process to focus on the work of
there are,
through
like, see, when to become ultimately free of them, you have to do Vipashyana. So Samatha and Vipassana, that's what the whole talk is about, is the main stay. And to be temporarily free from neurotic states, Western psychotherapy is also very good. And they, like anxiety, you have anxiety attacks. Western therapy, psychotherapy can help you free yourself from anxiety. But the root cause of your anxiety is still there. That can go away only through Vipassana. So through Western therapy, you can become free of your anxiety very quickly, and it's a very skillful means. And any Buddhist can use it as much. But the root cause of your anxiety is still there, so it can come out anytime when causes and conditions are present. And Vipassana is about cutting through the root cause as well. But that's a slower process. It's a slow, gradual process.
So the Vipassana helps to dissolve what otherwise one might work on as a process as well, like through psychotherapy.
I didn't hear you.
So the Vipassana will dissolve the root, what otherwise one might work on actively through psychotherapy or through other
Yes.
Okay.
So you can combine both of them.
Thank you.
Even Samatha, Samadhi does deal with emotional defilement to a great extent, but it does not cut the root. It quietens the mind to such an extent that all the emotional defilement becomes latent. So the person who has been practicing Samadhis for a long period appears to have no emotional defilement. Right? He appears to have no emotional defilement, and his mind is very quiet and peaceful. And if people come near him, they can feel it also. But the root is still in the mind, remaining a seed. The word, the Theravada Abhidharma word is anushaya, which means sleeping. The emotional defilements are still sleeping there. For example, when you go to sleep every night, all of us go into deep sleep. In deep sleep, there are no thoughts, completely no thoughts, and all the emotional defilements also go to sleep. But when you wake up, they come back again.
you.
Yes.
Thank you for coming. I'm wondering, as I understand, the spread of Buddhism always mixed with cultures that it came to in different styles at different times were appropriate to that culture at that time in that place. I'm wondering if you have any thoughts on methods, styles, or things that might be most appropriate in the West at this time.
In the West.
Spread it down.
I think, well, you see, like, it has to ultimately adjust to the Western culture for it to have any meaning, right? But I think what in the Western culture there's a problem here. The Western culture is a push button culture. You push a button and the lights on, and you expect Buddhism to transform to Western culture within 50 years, or 20 years, and that actually gets the Buddhism distorted. You have to allow it to seep in, gradually, and may take 200 or 300 years. It took 200 or 300 years to seep into Tibetan culture. Tibetan culture is not the Indian subcontinent's culture. I'm a Nepali, and there are Indians south of me, and our cultures are different, and both of our cultures are different from Tibetan culture. Tibetan culture is a Tibeto-Burman language, which is totally different from my language. My language is Indo-European language. It belongs to the Indo-European family. Right? Tibetan is Tibeto-Burman. Language is different, culture is different, everything is different. So even though we have borders, Tibetan culture is as vastly different from Nepalese culture as American culture. It took 200 to 300 years for it to seep into the Tibetan culture and become Tibetanized. The same thing happened in China. Buddhism went into China. It took 200-300 years before it became Chinese. And you have to be patient. Maybe not in your lifetime. You have to be patient, but you are part of the process of integrating Buddhism into Western culture. But if you try to make it a press button thing, then it's going to get distorted.
Thank you.
Thank you. Can you say a little bit about the arising of compassion and compassion's connection to Vipassana and the state, about how our Buddha nature and our inherent compassionate nature comes out of Vipassana, or when in the process we are
you see, what is translated in English language as luminosity. The Sanskrit word is prabhaswara. Pra means special and abhaswara means light. So the best English word is luminosity. And the luminosity has all the qualities of the Buddha within it. So compassion is part of the quality of a Buddha. So by practicing proper Vipassana on prabhaswara, that means often translated in English as awareness. But as I said, the word awareness is a bit tricky. The qualities within the prabhaswara, the luminosity, begins to come out. But then you can aid it. There are within Mahayana Buddhism meditations on compassion, which is artificial, but it kind of digs in and brings out the compassion faster and quicker. Whereas compassion within the luminosity is natural.
So that is happening in you were talking about the Samatha stage, in the creation stage and then the completion stage. In that completion stage where luminosity and emptiness are
in both.
sparking.
In both.
Okay.
In both. You see, everything is mind. You have to be careful. Not everything is in the mind, and mind is not in here in the Buddhist context. Everything is mind. See, like to help you understand, whatever you are seeing, hearing, is an experience, right? You agree to that? Experience is what is meant by mind, right? So the world, what I call the world out there, which includes all of you right now, is mind, because it's my experience, right? It doesn't mean I created you. It's an experience, and so it's the mind. And everything is the mind, and the mind. So therefore, when we create the mandala, that is also the mind, right? So that is luminosity as well. Not only the formless states, but in the active state of creating the mandala is also luminosity, and you see the emptiness of it, right? So it's both ways. That's why it is called the great Vipashyana, Maha-Vipashyana, because in the creation stage there is Vipashyana, in the completion stage there is Vipashyana.
Vidyadhara, thank you. I think it was a number of years ago, you and I were talking, and I had, as you know, done years of Western Vipassana, and told you it was very popular. And we were talking about insight, and you had said something that's been important to me in terms of practicing samatha or seeing the place of samatha, and that was that the insight, and to meet the type of, when you say special insight that is holistic, unless the mind has the penetrating quality, then the neurosis our mind can get too scattered. So we can be just practicing vipassana, but we really aren't getting that depth. And it impressed upon me the importance of shamatha practice and the relationship between them. And I was wondering if you could speak about that, because I think that's been really important for me, is to see why samatha was important in supporting something that I felt quite comfortable just going on vipassana retreats, but I could get off on all sorts of tangents too.
Well, you see, like nowadays, the Burmese style of Vipassana is most popular in the Theravada tradition, and normally when it's called Vipassana is that method. But in the Buddha's time, the Buddha made it, has said very clearly that you have to combine Samatha and Vipassana, not just Vipassana alone by itself. Nowadays there's a lot of practice called dried Vipassana. Sukha Vipassana, that's the word used by the Burmese themselves. Sukha means dried, means without Samatha, you just look at your sensations or whatever, your body and so on. And that's what you mean when you say like it cannot get stuck, And if you combine it with Samatha and Vipassana together, then all the emotions and feelings and so on also begin to come out. In the Vajrayana tradition, you see, after taking the empowerment and using the completion stage and the creation stage and the completion stage, properly, then it's, and using the nature of mind, the emotions, 5 emotions begin to come out, and you realize them as the 5 Buddhas. So it's more an alchemical style in Vajrayana. That's the closest English word, alchemical style. And like a lodestone, when it touches copper, becomes gold. The nature of mind, when it touches anger, hatred, fear, and so on, they become the 5 Buddhas. Anger is Akshobhya Buddha. Stupidity, that's the closest English word. Stupidity or confusion, called moha in Sanskrit, is Vajrayana Buddha. Greed and pride is Ratnasambhava Buddha. And jealousy is Amavasiddhi Buddha. And passion is Amitabha Buddha. So the lodestone is the nature of mind. When the nature of mind touches the lodestone, touches copper, the copper turns into gold. That's alchemy, right? And so in the same way, there's an alchemical type of process going on in the Vajrayana practice. And the lodestone is the nature of mind. So then the emotions come out and they transform into the 5 Buddhas. Does that answer it?
No, it does. In terms of pressing the importance of that one can do the dry vipassana and miss out on, in my experiences, it's almost like there's a purification when concentration practice has the effect of really dredging up the unconscious.
Yeah.
Whereas you won't necessarily reach those depths if you're doing drier or lighter without that level of intensity and focus.
See, what you need to understand is like when you practice a genuine, at least in Buddhism, the genuine spiritual practice is not something that makes you feel peaceful right in the beginning. Because we have a whole lot of septic tank within us. And that needs to be opened up to clean it. When it opens up, it starts stinking. And genuine spirituality should open it up, not plaster it and cover it up and put scent on it.
Question. When you spoke of the 5 Buddhas, were you talking about the 5 Dhyana Buddhas?
Yeah,
Oh.
yeah.
Thank you so much. I was wondering if you could say a little bit more about that root cause. You were saying like psychotherapy might help with the anxiety, but it wouldn't necessarily get to the root of where that's coming from.
Okay.
And what is that where the empowerment and then the practice would come in? Is that what would have the alchemical transformative effect?
Well, I mean, the root cause, you see, like I did talk about nations in Buddhism, and the root cause of all our emotions, emotional defilement, not just emotions, but emotional defilement, is the self. See, and the concept that I exist. You know, when I believe, feel, experience I exist, then I need this. That's greed, right? And then you may want that too. Then I say, no, I want it. That's anger. So the whole lot of emotions causes from there, comes out from there. You know. So the root cause, the root method of cutting the root is to see that this I does not really exist the way I perceive it. You know. So it's like cutting the tree at the root. When you cut the tree at the root, the rest of the tree will shrivel up in time. Right? But if you keep on clipping the leaves, every season it'll come out again. So that's the root cause in Buddhism.
Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Seems so far away, so daunting. When I met you a long time ago, I had all these questions in my mind. I had a hard time going to bed or sleeping. I was just like, be exhausted. This was in Nepal. And I came to you and said, contact your son, Vinay, my friend, classmate. He came over and said, I want to learn how to meditate. I heard that it helps my mind calm down. And you, that's exactly how you laughed. And you said, read the books of the masters, the 84 Mahasiddhas. That sort of took me to through that journey, getting a little emotional. And it helped me settle down. And it was great for me, but at the same time, it feels so far away, It feels so daunting, How do we kind of reconcile with that,
You focus moment to moment to moment. Forget about the eons.
I think that would be helpful.
That's what we just talked about, I think she asked the question, and Buddhism is not about pacifying the mind immediately. It's about really pacifying the mind, and that means you have to open the septic tank first, and that's going to create trouble. And people think I'm getting worse. I've been meditating for 3 years. It looks like I'm getting worse, but actually you're getting better, because you're taking out all the thing in the septic tank. Once that is empty and cleaned up, then you'll feel pacified, and you'll really be pacified, not just temporarily pacified. That's what I meant. Real spirituality does not pacify you right in the beginning. That's false. You can be pacified right in the beginning. If you do some types of meditation, the mind quiets and you feel right, blissful and nice and relaxed, and this is good, cool, and you think this is the right thing for me, But everything is suppressed down there.
I'm not sure what I'm asking, but when you sparked something in me when you talked about not being able to pacify. My entire family, there are so many people in my family with mental illness. My son in particular has schizophrenia. He's so heavily medicated, yet he still hears voices all the time. He's the most compassionate person I have ever met, and I didn't teach it to him. So I'm always drawn with it. I mean, I know he is one of my teachers, but I'm always confused about someone who cannot control their mind, where their mind goes, but at the same time be so in tune with everything and everyone around him. I guess that's what I mean. I don't know what I'm asking, but if you could just say something about that.
I don't know what I'm answering, but I'm answering. Okay. I mean, you see, karma is very complex. It's a very complex thing. I'll give you a story of the Buddha's own disciple, Maudgala, and you'll see a kind of analogy to what you're talking about. He was like one of the most spiritually advanced disciples amongst Buddha himself, right? And in the stories it goes, he could go to the heavenly realms with his body and communicate with the deities, come back, he had all the psychical powers and so on. But when he died a very horrible death. Because people came to ask him, there were many traditions in India, as it is now too. So when their teachers passed away, they would come and ask him, where did my teacher go? And he was frank, he said, he went to hell. And they got very angry. And after a while, many of the people were very angry with him, and they hired goons to kill him. And he was meditating in a cottage, and he had psychical powers, so he knew they were coming. So he flew off the chimney and escaped. He escaped once, he escaped twice, 7 times. Then finally he decided, now this is my karma. I have to die this way. I have no choice. I can escape 100 times, but one day I have to die anyway. So let go. And so he waited, and these goons came and beat him up into a pulp and put him in a gunny sack and threw him. And he was so powerful that the gunny sack flew to 200 or 300 or 400 miles to where the Buddha was, and asked his pub. You see, the 2 main disciples of Buddha, every Buddha have to ask permission to the Buddha to leave, to go away, And so he flew in front of the Buddha and said, it is time for me to go. Lord, please give me permission. So the Buddha said, yes, it's time for you to go. Then the gunny bag flew back to where it was and fell on the ground. And then people were shocked. I mean, this powerful man, how come he died that way? And the Buddha said, many kalpas. Are you familiar with the word kalpa? Kalpa is like eons. Yeah? Eons ago, he tried to kill his father and mother. His father and mother were very old and blind, and deaf, didn't hear properly, and his wife was tired of taking care of them. So she kept on telling him, why don't you take them to the jungle and just leave them off, leave them to die. In the beginning he said, no, we can't do that. How can I do that to my parents? Finally he gave up. He took them in a bullock cart and took them to the middle of the forest, and then they can't see, so he started shouting, thieves, thieves, and then hit his own father and mother on the head with a wooden stick and pretending that it was the thieves doing it. Then the father and mother said, child, you are still young, we are old, we are going to die anyway, so leave us here and you run away. And that really hit him. And he said, oh, this is bad. So he stopped doing that and brought them back to the home. And the Buddha said, because of that karma, and now he's an arahat. Arahat, when he passes away, all his karmas go, finish off completely. And this karma was remaining. It had to go through. So he had to die that way, no matter how powerful he was. Right? So karma is very complex. In eons and eons of existence, we have many types of karmas. Some good, some bad, they're all mixed together. And when it comes out like this. Does that answer?
Yeah, it does. Good. Thank you.
Thank you very, very much, everyone, for coming.